Women are calling high-value men losers.
In Japan, there is a term for men who aren't necessarily successful with the ladies in their home country, and they come to Japan and they are really successful with the Japanese ladies. And this term is LBH, or losers back home.
Women are calling high-value men losers. Yeah, guys, this is actually happening. When I first featured this video a couple of months ago, Mayumi was absolutely up in arms. Watch this video to understand why women are calling high-value men losers and the implications it is going to have on society. Now let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
So these LBH, or losers back home, they would not slay at home like in the US, but in Japan they slay, and believe me, they slay. I know men who have a roster of Japanese women. Some of these men have been with multiple hundreds of Japanese women, and it shocked me, but now I get it. I guess if you're an Asian woman that grew up in an Asian country and is only used to seeing Asian people, maybe you are very intrigued by a white guy. So there is a difference in standards. In the US, if you were to ask who's the hottest male Hollywood actor, you'd probably hear Bradley Cooper or Brad Pitt. But in Japan, they say it's Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, guys, these individuals are definitely shattering the relationship between men and women as quickly as they possibly can. They absolutely do not like us. And one of the things that's quite interesting is, if we look at some pictures of Eddie Redmayne, what does Eddie Redmayne actually look like? This is Eddie Redmayne. Eddie Redmayne is a very, very handsome Englishman. He's one of the top actors in Hollywood. He's one of the leading actors of the millennial and Gen X generations. So he's actually a little bit older. He's around 40 years old. And he's a Zennial, and he is at the absolute top. He's one of the most distinguished actors in Hollywood. And he's extremely fit. He has abs, like literal abs, and he has the cheekbones that everyone is dying for. He looks like an absolute Chad, and they consider Eddie Redmayne a loser. They consider Eddie Redmayne ugly. Okay? He's wealthy, one of the most distinguished actors in Hollywood, distinguished actors of our generation, one of the most handsome actors of our generation. His looks are very distinctive, which makes him very, very popular. Look at this guy very carefully, is a loser back home. He is a loser. This is what they are calling losers. Okay? And of course, these women, like this woman, for example, she was called out on this. And what does she end up doing? She simply doubled down.
I did not invent this term, so unfortunately, I don't have the power to change it. And if you don't believe me, here it is on the internet from 2006. You can also find it on Urban Dictionary many times. And there are plenty of results on Google. Unfortunately, not me. Also, I don't think this term is exclusive to Japan. I wouldn't doubt that it's also used in other Asian countries like Thailand or, I don't know, China. So I don't think the Japanese people invented it either. If you watched my video and thought, oh, I'm going to Japan to slay, one thing I didn't mention is that these men that I referenced are fluent in Japanese. So if you don't speak any Japanese, you only speak English, and you come to Japan hoping to meet Japanese girls, you might be disappointed because Japanese people not only don't really speak English, but they're scared to speak English. So if you approach Japanese women only speaking English, it will intimidate them. They are already very shy and timid, and you will have a hard time breaking the ice. So if you're really serious, you should probably learn Japanese, but I never thought the video would turn out the way it did.
Guys, these women are doing the devil's work. They are doing the devil's work. I do talk to Mayumi sometimes privately, and one thing I've asked Mayumi about is, why is her English so good? And she gave me like a long explanation of why her English is so good, why she's able to use English puns so well, is able to sound she sounds like a native speaker, or better than many native speakers. And it's because of her education, her upbringing, her parents. So to say that Japanese people cannot speak English is ridiculous. Some of the top creators on YouTube are Japanese people who speak English, fluent English, who've lived in Japan their entire lives. This is insane. Guys, these women in Western society are trying to create rifts between men and women all over the world. They're trying to create division between men and women all over the world. And what they are really trying to do is to shame men into compliance, obedience, and demoralization, so that they would never think of doing what the passport kings have done and leaving the Western society and going overseas and finding someone who is fit, feminine, and friendly. Guys, we need to stop messing around with these broke women, by the way. Like, we have to stop messing around with these broke women. Like, if you want to be out, if you want a woman, like, I can't tell you what to do. Stop messing with these broke girls, y'all. Stop messing with these broke girls. I'm just being very, very honest with you. Stop it. Stop doing it. There's no reason why you cannot find yourself a woman who is fit, feminine, friendly, educated, and comes from a good family. I'll use Mayumi as an example. I don't think she'll mind. Mayumi comes from money. Her father has money. All right? And her husband, as a result of her father having money, when her husband wanted to build out his security company, he was able to go and kneel before her father and ask for a loan. And he was able to get that loan and build out his company. And you have to think about things like this. I'm not saying that he married her for money. However, it sure as heck didn't hurt. She's also mentioned that they have a prenup. Think about the logistics here, guys. We go out there and we marry these broke girls. We get in a relationship with these brokies that they cannot, if we don't take them out on dates, they don't eat that evening. All right? When you're messing around with these girls who are brokies, a lot of times they do not know how to carry themselves. Compared to someone like Mayumi, who comes from a family where it's all about self-respect and not shaming your family and not shaming your clan. And it doesn't have to be the word clan, but your lineage. Like, a lot of these broke girls, they come from broken homes. There was no father in the home. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't marry for money, but it does not hurt to marry into money. You should be able to take care of yourself. You should create your own worth. But you should not be getting into relationships with women who are brokies. I'm just being honest. Like, you need to ask her what her credit score is. If her credit score is below a 700, that's the end of the conversation right there. If you go on a date with her and she doesn't offer to pay, that's a no right there. I'm just being very, very clear. If she expects you to do everything and provide everything in a relationship, if she's not trying to build something with you, that's a no right there. If she's not bringing any assets into the relationship, that's a no right there. Okay? Stop dating these girls who work at McDonald's. Stop dating these Starbucks baristas. Okay? Stop dating some. And listen to me, it doesn't just include them. Don't go running around with some of these MDs that have $500,000 in student loan debt. Those are not high value women. Okay? A lot of them are struggling just to eat every night. Guys, when I used to work in insurance and I would deal with some of these women, they had such poor financial literacy. Like, they were like, "You have to help me. I haven't paid my insurance." And I'm like, looking at their tax returns, I'm like, "Bro, you have bigger problems than insurance. You are not properly paying your taxes." Because I'm doing an audit on your account. I'm looking over your financial records, and I can just basically see that You're paying. You say that you're paying like a cleaning lady, like what, $15,000 a year, $20,000 a year. And when I look at your staff, like your staff, you're between the people who work for you or work in your business, bro. There's not even $100,000 here in expenses. We're talking about like $50,000 to $60,000 in expenses. Your business, the building that you're operating, the nothing adds up. You're pulling in $500,000, but I don't see where the rest of the money has gone, and you're asking me to help you out. You have bigger problems than being behind on your insurance. Like you have some serious problems with the IRS. Like how the hell did they even miss this, bro? Like you're supposed to be in civil, if not criminal court. Like you owe a lot of money in taxes. Okay, and then you don't even know how much. And if this is the kind of lifestyle that they're living, what's their student loan debt like? All right, $500,000 in student loan debt. Okay, $500,000 or $250,000. And how many years have you been doing this? Like, no, this is like years of like underpaying your taxes. Like, bro, you probably owe upwards of like $700,000 in taxes at this point because you've been in business for at least a couple of years. Yeah, yeah, you've been doing this a while. Yeah, bro, they're gonna put you in prison. They're gonna put you in prison. You're done. And the thing is, like the way that the IRS works, like I'm looking at how much you actually owe on paper. We're not talking about the penalties or the compound interest. If we were to just a vague estimate, it's probably around 1.2 million with the penalties and interest over this period of time. And it's at least a million, but it may be as high as 1.1, 1.2. Yeah, you're cooked. You're cooked. Men need to stop messing around with these brokies. Stop messing around with these broke girls. You have women like this calling high value men losers. Guys, it's time to walk away. All right. If you want a relationship, go and find someone who is fit, feminine, friendly, and comes from money. I'm not saying that your goal should be to get access to her money, but it does not hurt to be in a relationship with someone who has money of their own and something to lose. Stop dating women who have nothing to lose. Stop doing it. Don't do it to yourself. A lot of men have had to learn this the hard way. There's a comedian that I there's a comedian I follow. I cannot remember his name. That maybe it's Gary Owens or something like that. But he was married to a black woman, and he would always talk about his relationship and his interracial kids. Guess what? His kids are grown now. He's still young, and he's basically divorcing his wife, and he hasn't told us the story. He's like, but when it comes out, it's going to be you're going to see exactly how serious it was. But anyway, he said that there was a whole controversy. People were like, oh, he went and got himself a white girl after this, and he's like, no, 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 no. I'm still down with the hood. All right, still down with the community. I can still go to the barbecues. I'm still exclusively going with dating black women. However, now I've changed the kinds of women that I date. I only date black women exclusively. However, I'm not dating Instagram baddies. Okay? I don't go looking for women on Instagram. I go looking for women on LinkedIn. Because if I go down, then she also has to have something to lose. If I'm going to lose everything, she also has to have something to lose. And this is what men are waking up and realizing that they're done dating these so-called baddies that can't even afford dinner. They can't even afford McDonald's. They can't even afford an Uber ride home. Okay? And that's a lot of women going forward are going to be in extraordinary destitution and poverty in this sham economy. Oh, the US economy is not as bad as people thought it was. There's actually a lot of robust spending still happening. Everyone's living off credit right now. Okay? People are doom spending right now. As soon as these people begin running out of liquidity, running out of credit, okay? First, they were living off the money that they got during the events of 2020, and a lot of people had a nice nest egg from that, all that garbage cash that was handed out, all right? And then they started living off credit after inflation became absolutely horrendous, and we are heading to a massive crash because people are earning less today than they were before the events of 2020, but the prices of things like food are now 4 times higher than they were in 2020. Rents are 2 to 3 times higher than they were in 20 than they were before 2020. So this is not going to last. I told like we're literally going to find a lot going like into the future when everything goes to hell. You're gonna have a lot of people becoming squatters. A lot of people are going to become squatters overnight. They're gonna stop paying the rent and they're just gonna squat in their apartments, and it's gonna take years to get them out. You see, when people go and take over these apartments, that's when all of this crazy stuff starts to happen. But if you're a landlord and someone's been living there for years and they've been paying their rent on time for years, and now they're like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm just not going to pay the rent." Basically, they're passing the buck on to you, and they're because guys, people will have no money. People will have zero money, and then landlords continuing to raise the rent, the government is going to find people just living on the streets or living on public land, and punishing them for doing it. So you have a couple of options. Either these people are going to squat, and I don't like squatters. I think they're terrible. But a lot of people who are now honest, hardworking people, if they can't survive anymore, right? And it's through no fault of their own, to say, oh well, if you had done better, you should, and earn more money. And they're literally like, I'm spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month on rent. That's not my problem. That's not my fault. I've done everything I can. I have a master's degree. You should have gotten a better subject. Guys, when this happens, you're just gonna, guys. This is the reason why you have millennials telling Gen Zers that it's okay, kids, go and burn down society, like burn everything down. Like you literally have. I made a video about it recently where you have millennials that are telling Gen Zers to go and tear it all down. Like Gen Zers are freedom fighters. These are mentally ill muffins, mentally ill muffins with anger issues. All right, they're not fighting for society. They're basically they're having a tantrum. Okay, that's destroying society. That's helping to further destroy society. It's not their fault. It's not their fault what has happened, but they're only just making it worse. Okay, we are watching an extraordinary decay. The future of this, women going around calling high value men losers and trying to destroy men overseas, their reputation overseas, and trying to demoralize them. It's only going to create a bigger rift between men and women, where more men are just going. Guys, 70% of men are completely avoiding dating as it is. Only one in every 1,000 men are getting married in the United States right now. And women are still doing this because they want to demoralize these men. They want to tear down these men. They want to prevent these men from going overseas. They want to prevent these men from thinking that there's any hope out there. They want these men to serve and obey. That's why you have some pastors saying serve and obey. And I know Mayumi said something like if she and her sisters ran into this lady, this lady would not have a good time in Japan. I'm telling y'all, this is crazy. A lot of women are going to find themselves in poverty, destitution, living in their cars, living in shelters, living on the street, living in the woods, because men are no longer going to subsidize their living. They're not doing it, and the government doesn't have enough money to subsidize the living of women anymore. Maybe they'll get some food stamps, and in this inflation, you can't really buy anything with that. Like, think about this very carefully. The cost of food has gone up by 3 to 4 times, really around 4 times. Some cases more, depending on the item. But on average, it's gone up around 3 to 4 times since the events of 2020. And yet, what are food stamps are not much more than they were 4 years ago. If they kept up with inflation, you would be getting at least $750 a month in food stamps right now. And you're not. So who the heck can live off food stamps? It's crazy, guys. This is just the reality we live in. Women are not going to be able to survive in this economy. They are not going to be able to survive as more men walk away. And as soon as everything starts to crash and it becomes clear, and employers are like, okay, yeah, now we're just going to start firing everyone. The moment the next recession hits, it's going to be it'll be a depression. We're already in a depression, but once everyone wakes up to it, there's nothing, and all of those jobs will vanish. They will never come back because employers will use it as an opportunity to replace all of those jobs with AI as rapidly as they can. And you'll end up with a lot of women trying to get public assistance. It won't be there for them. And they have to they keep on propping up the real estate market because that's all they have. And if the value of real estate starts to collapse, if the housing market collapses, they'll further drop the economy into an even deeper depression. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. Guys, women are calling high-value men losers. Let me know what you think regarding this, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.